Hey, it's Glen Gosch, realtor and broker with Coldwell banker Tomlinson, here talking about the truth about the worst things in Tri-Cities, Washington. All right. Once again, Glen Gosch here. I'm a local realtor in the Tri-Cities area. Started this YouTube channel a few years ago now, I guess. Since starting it, I've been helping people move to the Tri-Cities area from the west side of Washington, all the way from Florida to this beautiful area of Tri-Cities. If you're thinking about moving to the area, have any questions about anything, leave me a comment in the comment section, or you can find my phone number right here. Feel free to reach out, shoot me a text, give me a phone call, or look in the description for other ways to contact me. Love hearing from people and just love kind of educating people and helping people learn about moving here to the area, or even if they're just considering it. So anyway, so this video here, I'm going to be talking about the truth about the worst things in Tri-Cities. So a little while back, I did a video called The Worst Things About Tri-Cities. Now, if you're from the area, it probably makes a little more sense than if you're not from the area. So there's a little bit of sarcasm, a little bit of humor in there, but these are the video I made before were things that I would hear people say about the area. So the first one is there are no trees in Tri-Cities. You will hear people say that all the time here. There are no trees. And that's not necessarily true. If you go back and watch my video, you'll see I'm going around to different neighborhoods saying, oh yeah, there's no trees here. And there's this whole group of trees behind me. I took a picture of this sign that says Arbor City, USA or something like that because of the trees that are here. Now, to be fair though, so there's some sarcasm in that. The natural landscape here that's kind of away from the rivers, out in the hills, you do not see kind of the forested hills that you see on the west side of Washington, on the west side of the Cascade Mountains. So that's what a lot of people are familiar with and what a lot of people are used to, and maybe where some of the people here grew up at or even visit sometimes. And it is green, the west side of the state, right? There are trees everywhere, pine trees and evergreen trees and just trees. So compared to that, yeah, I can see where people say there are no trees in Washington. However, we do live in an area where we have 4 seasons. So we do have trees here. We get trees where leaves are falling off the trees. And in the middle of winter, when things, fall has run its course and most of the trees have lost their leaves, it doesn't look green like the west side of the state does because all these trees are sitting here bare. So that's a difference between here, Tri-Cities, and the west side of the state, and why you will hear people say there are no trees here in Tri-Cities. All right. Another truth about the worst things in Tri-Cities is the wind. I just touched on this for a little bit because I shot that other video in one day, but you'll hear people here say the wind blows every day. It's windy here all the time. And that's not really true from what I've seen. There are plenty of days where the wind is not blowing here. However, we do get our share of wind in the Tri-City area. I'm not going to lie. I mean, we've made the national news for tumbleweeds blowing through the town because it was so windy. So we do get our fair share of wind. It's usually in spring or fall, kind of moving from the cooler weather into the warmer weather or vice versa. We'll get some days where the wind is blowing pretty hard here. It's usually not enough to cause too much damage. Every now and then you'll see a tree blow over. Every now and then you'll see those crazy tumbleweed stories. I've seen trampolines blowing down the freeway even on a really windy day. So it does happen. It can get crazy from time to time, but it's not an every single day occurrence. Okay, third thing I talked about on the worst things about Tri-Cities, Washington is how it is a brown and barren, depressing desert. You'll hear that all the time. And again, that goes back to there aren't any trees here, quote unquote, or there's just not a lot of greenery here. And again, if you look at the natural landscape, if you're looking up into the hills onto Badger Mountain, many times of the year, it's not green. I mean, it is brown. It is sagebrush. It is you know, it has its own beauty, I think, but it's definitely not green like other parts of the state are. You go around the river, that's kind of where you see most of the greenery. The river is beautiful. The sunsets here are awesome. So it's not all brown and barren and depressing all the time, but there are times, I mean, there's times in the winter where it's gloomy. All the leaves are off the trees. Some of the grass throughout town is starting to look a little bit, brown and not as lush as it can in the springtime with flowers blooming and trees blooming and everything. So I get where people say that it can be depressing at times. It can kind of have that feel to it. But overall, when you live in an area that has 4 seasons, you do get the winter season too. Luckily, some of that time we get snow-covered hills and stuff that look pretty. So we do have that. But yeah, sometimes it is brown and barren. All right, 4th thing that I talked about in the worst things about Tri-Cities video is having nothing to do here. You'll hear that all the time. Oh, God, there's just nothing to do in Tri-Cities, Washington. Now, there are things to do here. It just depends on what you like to do for fun. I will say there's a lot of great family-oriented things. If you like water sports, if you like hiking, if you like kind of like low-key stuff, then this place pretty much has anything you would want to do, or most things you would want to do. If you need to do or want to do some sort of more adventurous hiking, more adventurous whitewater rafting, that's a couple hours away. Skiing, couple hours away. And then if you really want to go to a major concert, there are some that are nearby. I mean, we have the Toyota Center here that has some semi-major acts that go through, like Bob Dylan's played there, Kiss has played there, Snoop Dogg has played there. But you're probably not going to get a Taylor Swift or a Dave Matthews Band or one like the current big artists going through that area. You will see that at the Gorge, which is, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half away. Kind of a big concert venue. Kind of feels like it's in the middle of nowhere type thing. It's in George, Washington. Yep, there's a city called George in the state of Washington, and that's where the Gorge is, and you can get kind of the bigger concerts there. There's some festivals in the area too where you'll see bigger concerts, but if you want like regular music scene, regular nightlife, yeah, you might need to go to some of the bigger cities out. It's not quite like Seattle or even Spokane right here in Tri-Cities. It's a little less for kind of maybe younger crowds or people that are into the nightlife. Not as many opportunities here. Like Tri-Cities, it's a decent sized city, but it's not a big city that has as many opportunities for things to do in that respect. All right, and last thing that I talked about in the Truth About Tri-Cities video, I'm sorry, the worst things in Tri-Cities. This video is the truth about the worst things in Tri-Cities is the traffic. Now, people here will complain about the traffic. It's all relative, though. I've talked about in my other videos how I grew up in Southern California and in the Las Vegas area. I've been to the Seattle area. I've been through other big cities in the country, and I will tell you the traffic here is nothing like those other areas. I remember driving to work in California. It'd take an hour and a half to get there in the morning, 3.5 hours to get back home from work in the evening. So that, to me, is traffic. Now, there's in between two. Obviously, California is the extreme. You go over to the west side of the state, though, Seattle, you hit some pretty hardcore traffic there, too, in some areas. Now, over here in Tri-Cities, I've been here about 8 years now. Yeah, the traffic has increased in the last 8 years. And people that have lived here their whole lives, I can see there was probably like zero traffic way back in the day. So there are some time periods of the day, lunch hour going through some of the busy streets, kind of that 5 o'clock hour going through some of the busy streets. But like when we talk about traffic here, it means instead of taking you 10 minutes to get somewhere, it takes you 18 minutes to get there or something. It's not like, hey, you're sitting in gridlock for half an hour, 45 minutes just because it's congestion. We don't really have that here. Yeah, I can see there is a little bit of traffic. I'm sure if you've been here for a long time, the traffic has increased. It's still nothing like the bigger cities, though. So there's some truth to it. Yeah, there's a little bit of traffic here in Tri-Cities, but not that bad, at least relatively speaking, compared to where I've lived before. So there we go. That was the truth about the worst things in Tri-Cities, Washington. Check out that video. I'll leave a link to it in the comments. And again, if you're from the Tri-Cities area, you might find a little more humor in it than if you've never been to the area. If you end up moving here, you'll probably see what I'm talking about as you watch it. You might look back on it and go, that's what he was talking about. Okay. So again, if you're looking to move to the Tri-Cities area, my name is Glen Gosch. I'm a local realtor here. Love talking with people that are thinking about moving to the area. You can shoot me a text or give me a call right at that phone number right there, or just look in the description of this video. My contact information will be there. Reach out. We've helped people from, like I said, west side of the state, Seattle area, all the way from Florida, moving to the area. So enjoy helping people. Just reach out and we'll see what we can do to help.